it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhale frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great. Just like cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer-mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Hour 2, Toker Talk Radio. The clouds have parted. We got a little bit of blue sky here in Potland. If you were listening to the last segment, did you hear it? Right toward the ends of the rant there, window washer. I'm telling you, it's weird when you're up on the 26th floor to see someone outside your window it's weird, and it'll throw the. I challenge Rush Limbaugh to make it through a segment with a window washer out on the skyscraper. At least it's not like the children's hospitals where like they dress as Spider-Man. That would have been pretty cool. I'd have been for that. Welcome back, everybody. It's time for Toker Talk Radio. A little bit of politics here. Nothing real deep. But presidential candidate Hillary Clinton has been attacked recently by her opponents, some on the right, who are trying to question her health. She's too sick. She's ill. Oh, my God. She needs help up the stairs. Come on. She's like a 69-year-old lady. Come on, right? So anyway, there was a big problem where she had this coughing fit, apparently, yesterday or a day before. And that, fanned the flames of, oh, my God, conspiracy. She's right. So she went on this radio show. It's called The Breakfast Club. It's in New York. And she had a little, cough again. And she made the coolest reference to marijuana. I mean, strangely hip for Hillary Clinton. Listen to this.
That we have to address. Excuse me. Sorry.
It's okay.
Allergy season.
That's a killer.
Right?
How do you guys do it?
Any mouth CPR? You all right?
Did you just try to kiss?
Senator, you coughing like you got some medicinal.
Yeah, I need some. There's always the threat.
So she just goes on to,
Sexism.
talking about more stuff there. But yeah, so you're coughing like you got some medicinal. And she says, yeah, I need some. Now, I don't know. Was this a case of Hillary Clinton being hip? Because some medicinal. That's a hip reference, right? And did she get what he was saying? Is what I'm saying. Or did she think like he was saying you need some medicine or this case is medicinal or whatever? I don't know, but I thought that was strangely hip from Hillary Clinton. And so far I haven't seen any clarification or response. The media is reporting it as a joke, which good for her. She was able to make a joke. Anyway. The Hillary Clinton needs some medicinal. Let's get it to her, fellas. Let's get it all packaged up. We got plenty of great medicinal marijuana right here in Oregon. Fly on over, Hill. Fly on over. We got you the hookup. We got something for that cough. We'll take care of that. Oh my goodness. All right, coming up on the show here in hour 2. We got a story coming up right after the break on bad marijuana data journalism. Dr. Mitch and I talk about this a lot, where a study will come out and somebody will try to write the clickbait headline, the sensationalist headline that doesn't really sum up or even come close to what the study was saying. Yeah, we got one of those coming up. And then after our safety briefing, we're going to go to Utah. We're going to go to Utah, and the ACLU there is trying to block the DEA from warrantless access to the state's prescription drug database. We'll tell you why that's important. And then in the final segment, we'll talk about the terrible drug war president there in the Philippines, President Duterte, called Obama a son of a whore. We'll tell you all about that and more, and what his latest plan is in Hour 2, Toker Talk Radio. Stay tuned.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
Legal to listen to all over the world. We're just not sure about France. CannabisRadio.com.
Dr. Dabber, hurry! Its temperature is shooting past 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It's burning up.
I'm afraid for this little guy, it's just too late.
What caused the problem?
Only Dr. Dabber can maintain the perfect temperature for a smooth-tasting, slower burn. This standard vaporizer lost all of its health benefits, sending it up in smoke.
So you're telling me that most vapor pens burn so hot they produce smoke, not vapor?
Correct. Keep away from those standard vaporizer pens and turn to Dr. Dabber. Doctor's orders.
Less heat, more flavor.
The Tommy Chong Show on Cannabis Radio.
You got me running, you got me hiding. Run, hide, and hide, run any way you want, let it roll. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got me doing what you want me, babe. Girl, what you want me to do? Shut up and do a podcast, as I want you to do. Oh, that sounds like a good idea.
The Tommy Chung Podcast, only on CannabisRadio.com.
You can find Radical Russ online everywhere. Gmail, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, SoundCloud, Snapchat, LinkedIn, and Boise State University's 2400 baud modem bulletin board system from 1985.
Are you playing an acoustic guitar but want to be louder without an amp? Try a resonator guitar. The fingerboard extension has National Resophonic and other resonators, square necks and round necks. Stop by the Fingerboard Extension downtown Corvallis at 120 Northwest 2nd Street today, or check out its inventory on the web at fingerboardextension.com. Go wild hog in the woods.
And Blue Blasten Gergen, Pfaffen der Blasten, Schnurb Norben. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation, only on CannabisRadio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. 9 after the hour, and we got some bad science reporting to talk about. This is the study that we told you about, was it yesterday, the day before, where they... a lot of media reported as, smoking pot makes you lazy. We proved it. We proved it because if we found these people that were high and fewer of them wanted to do this thing, and therefore that proves that pot smoking makes you lazy, right? So we covered this a day or two ago. But this latest one, this latest reporting on it takes the cake. It just wiped out the other 3 examples that I used the other day. It's from the website inc.com. And the headline is enough, right? Right off the headline. Bad news. Science says smoking pot will make you poor. Science says smoking pot will make you poor. Now, at first, when I first saw that, I thought, are they talking about those studies where they compare pot smokers to non-pot smokers and they find, oh, surprise, the non-pot smokers have higher average levels of income. Well, yeah, surprise, the pot smokers are denied entrance into some of the better paying jobs thanks to drug testing. No, it wasn't that. This was about the study. This was about the motivation study. The subhead, after bad news, science says smoking pot will make you poor, is there's now proof that smoking marijuana can have a negative influence on your short-term levels of motivation. Proof! It's proof! Absolute proof! This study shows us that there's proof that you have a negative influence on your short-term levels of motivation. All right, so we get into the story. And it's about the University College of London study, and it was published in Psychopharmacology, and it's the one that said if you rolling one spliff is enough to make people less willing to work for money while high. Now, first of all, if we're talking spliff, and they say tobacco and marijuana, then we've got tobacco confounding all this, but never mind, we'll forget that segment. This says that people are less willing to work for money while high. And so here's how they described the study and how it went down. For the research, which ultimately comprised 2 separate studies, 57 total participants were involved. In the first, 17 adults who reported occasional cannabis use inhaled cannabis vapor through a balloon. At a later date, the same group inhaled cannabis placebo vapor. Right after, they were asked to complete real-life tasks for which they would be given money if completed. Even though 50% of participants chose to complete the task when sober, only 42% chose to do so when intoxicated. All right, so this is one of those things where, yeah, what you wrote there was accurate, but it didn't really, it's trying to portray this as something more than it was. First of all, the real life tasks, right? Well, real life in this sense means that it happened in the reality we inhabit in this plane on the universe. But like real life as in this is a task you would be given to do in a real job? Hell no. The task was to take your non-dominant pinky finger, like in my case, my left pinky finger, and for 67 cents is actually like 50 pence in British money, right? I'm doing the conversion for you. For 67 cents, I can press the space bar with my non-dominant pinky finger 21 times in 7 seconds. And I'll get 67 cents. But I also have the choice of using my non-dominant pinky finger to press the space bar 100 times in 21 seconds to get $2.68. That's our real life task. Now, if that's the task you're giving me, and I just gotten high, my first thought is, for $2, for $2.50, you want me to tap with what? No, man, I'll do it a few times and, just chill. But if that's supposed to mean that in the real world, at the job or at school, you're going to be a lazy bastard, I don't think it transfers. I just really don't think it transfers. So that's the one part. Now remember how we got into this. Remember that we got into this because science says smoking pot will make you poor. There's now proof that smoking marijuana can have a negative influence on your short-term levels of motivation, right? Okay, so now we're halfway into this story. And we get to the second part of the study. Because remember, 57 people were studied. He's only mentioned the first 17. Okay, so here's the next paragraph. In another part of the research study, it was also proposed that long-term cannabis users do not necessarily experience dampened motivation levels when not under the influence, despite popular belief that marijuana use results in lingering motivation problems. During the second study, 20 people who claimed to be addicted to marijuana were asked to perform the same motivation testing task as those in the first study. Results showed that the reportedly cannabis-dependent volunteers were equally as motivated as the control group. That is, there was no lingering negative effect on motivation. Okay, So the long-term chronic daily cannabis consumers would do the stupid spacebar thing at the same rates as sober people, as long as both groups were sober. That's what we've discovered, right? Okay. So that's proof, right? We've got proof now. Proof that long-term daily cannabis consumption does not lead to motivational problems. Because if we've got proof from this study, remember, proof that the short term, that when you're high, you're going to be poor somehow, right? We've got that proof. So therefore, this study also gives us the proof that us long-term cannabis consumers, as long as we're not high, don't have motivation problems, right? Oh no. No, silly listener. The concluding paragraph. Although a longitudinal study is still required to confirm the hypothesis, the data the study has brought to light challenges the reigning opinions most people currently have on marijuana use. Oh, okay. Opening up this whole thing, man, we got proof. We got hard, rock solid scientific evidence that smoking pot will make you poor. You know what's going to make you poor? Sitting around using your pinky finger to tap on a space bar to make 68 cents. That's what's going to make you poor. That's just a ridiculous. So congratulations to inc.com for their story. Bad news. Science says smoking pot will make you poor. No, I'll tell you what makes you poor. Having drug tests that cost you a scholarship or your financial aid so you can't go to college and get a degree and a mountain of debt and get a job with better income and more security. It's those drug tests that you have to take that mean you don't get the job or you don't bother to apply for the job because there is that drug test. Because you're not going to be forced to choose between, say, your sanity, your health care, or even just your entertainment and having to work for the man. Those are the kind of things that make you poor. Getting busted for weed. Boy, that can make you poor. They can take your stuff when you get busted for weed. They don't even have to prove you had weed. It can be conspiracy stuff. They don't even have to land any criminal charges in a lot of states. Most of the states, they can just make it civil asset forfeiture if you got enough weed. If you got some weed and some money on you, traveling across the country, car without a state plates, especially if that state's got legal weed, oh yeah. I'll take your car, take your money. Happens all the time. That can make you poor. And then, of course, you get those charges. You get busted. You get put in jail. And you got to pay bail. Now, this has happened to me. I got busted in Snowville, Utah. Got taken to the Box Elder County Jail. And was told my bail was $1,667. Because I had residue in a pipe or something. Yeah, $1,600. Now, of course, bail bondsman, right? $166. You get out, right? Well, it doesn't quite work that way when you're from out of state, right? Because they figure, man, once you're out of that state, you ain't coming back. Not a very good investment. So, no, you have to, in that situation, I was forced to come up with $1,667 to get my ass out of the county jail in Utah. Now, if it weren't for the fact that I have very generous supporters and friends, I'd have been stuck in that jail. I can't come up with $1,600 at once like that all of a sudden in an emergency. Do you know what I do for a living? I'm a writer. I'm an activist, man. I'm shoestring budget every day, every year. So, yeah, if it weren't for, twists of fate and some privilege and some luck that I've got, I could have been in jail for a long time. Lost a job, lost an apartment, lost it all, and then try to rebuild it all with a criminal record. That's what makes you poor. That's how pot makes you poor. The prohibition of it.
You're a loony.
Well, there is that. Happy 420 to our friends in Ojai, California. I always think of Ojai. When I hear the word Ojai, I think of the Bionic Woman, Lindsay Wagner. If you can figure out that connection, that you're as old and nerdy as I am. We got a safety briefing. We'll be right back.
Being green is good. Growing green is good. Making green is great. CannabisRadio.com.
Oh, let the marijuana llama tell you something now about a game for your phone gonna make you say, wow! The game's about the game of growing cannabis for cash. Grow the seed till they bud, put the savings in the stash. Little by little, your empire grows large. Put different celebrities inside your entourage. You can choose to play with Snoop or me or Cheech and Chong, Cypress Hill, Willie Nelson, Wiz Khalifa with a bong. The name of the game is Hemp Inc., that's the point. Download and play while you light yourself a joint. The business of cannabis should be no crime. Hemp Inc. is even hot-proofed by the man who run High Times. Oh yeah? Get it on Android and iOS today. Marijuana llama out. Got to tend to me own crops, you know. Money don't make itself. Hemp Inc.
Hey, this is Willie Nelson for Normal. And I smoke pot and I like it a lot. I learned a long time ago that marijuana is a lot safer than alcohol. There's nothing wrong with the responsible use of marijuana by adults. It's time we stopped arresting and started respecting those who smoke marijuana responsibly. To learn what you can do to help, contact NORML at NORML.org or call toll-free 888-67-NORMAL.
The Russ Belville Show, providing dictionaries to drug czars since 2009.
Hey everybody, it's Radical Russ here from 420 Radio, inviting you to be like me and get your ink done at Lucky Horseshoe Tattoo, Fort Worth's most female-friendly, clean, sterile, awesome tattoo shop. Thomas and his crew are true artists who can design you a custom piece or use a design you bring in. Lucky Horseshoe Tattoo also offers all styles of tattooing as well as piercings and all-around fun. In the DFW area, stop by Lucky Horseshoe Tattoo and tell them Radical Russ sent you. Trust me, it'll feel awesome.
Remember, friends, there's more to life than marijuana. I just can't remember what it is. Why'd I come in here? You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation, only on CannabisRadio.com.
Oh, welcome back, everybody. And sorry for the skippy sounds and the stuttering. I'm telling you, I need some infrastructure. Got to get me a couple more laptop computers. What I really need is a home where I can set up a permanent desktop instead of having to work off a laptop the whole time. I'm just pushing it to its limits, man. Appreciate your patience. Appreciate you sticking with me. Sure was fun this last weekend with the college football season kicking off. My Boise State Broncos went down and played the Ragin' Cajuns of University of Louisiana Lafayette of the Sun Belt Conference. Came away with a clear victory. But the other games, man, we had 7 teams in the top 25 that lost their openers. And Houston, oh my God. So you know, there's the whole group of 5, there's the Power 5, there's the playoffs, and for any chance for Boise State to make the playoffs, they have to finish undefeated. And they have to be like the most kick-ass undefeated team of these group of 5. Not with Houston this year. Jeez. They're already ranked number 6 in the nation, man. So does not look like there is a road to the national championship for Boise State this year if Houston continues to do so well. University of Washington, Coach Pete, former Boise State coach up there, they're doing great. 1-0, ranked number 8 in the nation. So that's quite interesting. 2 or 3 weeks from now, I get to go down to Corvallis, Oregon, where Boise State will be playing Oregon State, playing the Beavers. And that'll be a lot of fun. I only mention this because I have something else in my life other than marijuana. Sometimes I feel like I should let you know that, yes, indeed, I do think of other things in the world other than marijuana. And football is one of them. So there we go. And, of course, the pro football is going to get kicked off here pretty soon, too. Be following my Green Bay Packers. So that'll be a lot of fun. One of our offensive linemen just got traded to the Bears, though. Oh, I hate that. I hate that when former Packers go to the Bears or the Vikings. All right, let's get back into the marijuana talk for a second here. Although this really isn't a marijuana subject. And you'll find from time to time I'm going to go into just more drug-oriented subjects or drug war-oriented subjects. This comes out of the Deseret News in Utah. Lindsay Whitehurst, Associated Press. The DEA wants to block ACLU from prescription drug database suit. The Drug Enforcement Administration wants to block the American Civil Liberties Union of Utah from stepping into a court case over whether investigators can do warrantless searches of a database of all prescription drug records in the state. More than 40 states keep similar databases, but Utah recently passed a law requiring investigators to get a warrant before they search it. What? A warrant? DEA lawyers argue they're exempt from that law because they're a federal agency. Fuck you, Utah. You ain't going to tell us what to do. But state officials contend they have to follow it like other investigators. Right. State laws cover state investigators. Exactly how that works. The ACLU wants to jump into the suit in support of the state. They say allowing agents to access the information without a warrant amounts to an unreasonable search of people's digital medicine cabinets, a violation of the Fourth Amendment. So that seems pretty clear to me, right? First of all, what these prescription drug monitoring databases are all about in the first place is part of the drug war. It's part of the enforcement of controlled substances. It's to try to prevent pain docs, doc-in-the-box types, script mills that are just handing out OxyContin like candy, and other painkillers. It's also meant to try to, keep track of whether someone's doctor shopping, right? They're just going from doctor to doctor, getting more and more and more prescriptions, right? So it's all part of the Controlled Substances Act. It's all how we handle these Schedule II and Schedule III drugs. Not every state has this database, this type of database, but most of them do. And Utah here is one of the states now that finally has said, no, you can't just go snooping around. You can't just have a bulk data gather from the DEA gathering like, all right, we want to see the records of everybody taking drugs in Utah. Even prescribed drugs we're talking about, though. OxyContin, Schedule 2s and Schedule 3s, Vicodin, stuff like that. Prescribed drugs. But we want to have that whole list. Now, the DEA says that the ACLU has no business in the suit because the DEA agents are only asking to use the database for a specific investigation that doesn't involve them, specifically whether a medical provider has been prescribing drugs to people who may be members of a criminal organization with ties overseas. Yeah, have we heard this excuse before? Didn't we get this in the the metadata and the phones? Remember when Snowden came out with all that, all that bulk phone collection? No, it's just if you're talking to terrorists over in Syria or something. And we found out that was bullshit, right? They were getting bulk records on everybody for anything. So yeah, no, we're only going after people that are supplying oxy to criminal organizations with ties overseas. Right, bullshit. The authorities argue the databases are an important tool for combating prescription drug fraud by tracing doctors handing out too many prescriptions or people going to multiple doctors for drugs, the doctor shopping phenomenon. Police use of the Utah database has plunged since the law was passed because officers say it takes too long to go through the process of getting a warrant. Doggone it. That stupid Fourth Amendment makes everything so hard. Gotta have to, do paperwork. Get approval from neutral third-party judges. Stupid Constitution. So, the ACLU argues the police use of the database brings up serious issues, and its voice should be heard in the lawsuit. Now, what are these serious issues, right? Well, there's a lot of privacy issues, of course, involved in your prescription drugs. The gay rights group Equality Utah says warrantless database searches can violate the privacy of transgender people who are using hormone replacement therapy drugs. I could If someone, let's say, is using AIDS antiretrovirals or whatever the hell that's called, AIDS drugs, right? Maybe that's not something, that guy wants the whole world to know that he's HIV positive or something like that. There can be many things. This just peeking around, like they say, it's a digital medicine cabinet we're talking about, this tracking. And there's every time we have a situation like this where the DEA just wants to get into our records, it's happened in the medical marijuana states, happened here in Oregon, where we have patient registries. And so they've got some sort of marijuana case they're working on, and we want to subpoena all your state medical marijuana records to see who's growing and where they are and who they're growing for. And like, you don't get that data. That's state of Oregon data. It's not federal data. It's not collected by the federal government. You have no reason to get it from us. And as far as I can recall, I believe all of those types of suits have been shut down when they've been tried. Could be wrong. There maybe some have succeeded, but not that I can recall. For me, this prescription drug monitoring database too is a function, is a result, I should say, of part of our drug war policy. There's a problem with undertreatment of pain for many people because these doctors get accused of being these, Dr. Feelgoods. Instead of, recognizing that, maybe some of these doctors are actually working with people that have the, 10 on a scale of 10 pain that requires some serious opioids. But people are turning to this, and we have these opioid epidemics, these painkiller epidemics, and I really believe that a large degree of it is because we don't have the access to more natural solutions. We've already seen in the places where we have more medical access to cannabis or legalization of cannabis that we see a decrease in opiate overdose rates. We see decreases in male suicides. We see decreases in the amount of painkillers and other prescription drugs, but painkillers by far, that are dispensed or prescribed by doctors, dispensed by pharmacists. And that's just the cannabis. We told the story yesterday of the DEA making a emergency Schedule 1 designation for kratom, which I don't know much about, but it's the herb or it's a tree out in the Southeast Asia, Thailand, Malaysia, that kind of Papua New Guinea and stuff. But it's supposedly an opiate-like effect, a painkiller, an analgesic type of an effect, and can be used, as I was reading, I don't know much about this drug, but can be used in opiate replacement, people trying to get off of opiates. Well, we better ban it. We better ban it, right? Because it's not been tested by the FDA and been proven to be safe. All things must be banned until they're proven to be safe. Well, except alcohol. It's kind of grandfathered in. But really, if we could get, I really think it's the prohibition of not just cannabis, but other drugs makes things worse in the legal drug world as well. It makes it so we have more diversion of OxyContin and Vicodins and things like that. I think it was Jerry Garcia who once said something to the effect of, if we were a rational society, we would be coming up with better, safer drugs. We wouldn't be trying to deny people this innate human drive to alter our consciousness, to seek relief from pain. We wouldn't try to stifle that, extinguish that. We would use our chemical tools, we would use our laws, we would use our public policy to ensure that the people who are looking for drugs knew what drug to take and how much to take of it and what the effects were expected and what the safety guidelines are. Oh, you're looking to have a spiritual hallucinogenic journey? Well, could I recommend some MDMA, or could I recommend some LSD 25? Now, you'll want to take this little square, and if we were a rational society, maybe that's the way the world would be. But we make this moral judgment. Our society has had this moral judgment. And it's so funny to me because we make the moral judgment based on changing our consciousness, but only if it's not beneficial to the productive machine, right? We don't have a problem with the caffeine. Makes people work more. Don't have a problem with the nicotine. That keeps them up and working. Go ahead with those. Those are cool. That's great. Go on with that. The stimulants, Adderall, Ritalin for the kids and stuff. Let's go ahead with those. Those are great. Oh, the mood stabilizers, so you can accept the dreariness of your cubicle life. The Xanaxes and Prozacs and all. Yeah, we can. Those are fine. But no, not the ones that make you have a freaky weekend. Not the ones that make you want to hug people. Not the ones that make you see spiritual visions and connect with the innate oneness of the universe and all star stuff. No. Those are bad for the bottom line. People don't like their cubicle jobs after they've been tripping. Or maybe they do. I don't know. We'll be right back. Stick around.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
Cannabis use isn't the only thing growing. So are we. Grow with us. CannabisRadio.com.
Play as Ted Growing, expelled botany sophomore and the biggest grower in town, only on Weed Firm Replanted. Available on the App Store and Google Play.
It's a lot of work being the biggest grower in town. Maintaining a room full of plants while dealing with a slew of eccentric customers? From a hardcore partier to the curious neighbor next door.
Is anybody home?
Help me expand my bud business by unlocking new strains, customizing my grow room, and completing challenges that you can't get enough of. Grow your empire so big you can see it from space. Low on funds? Don't worry. Weed Firm Replanted is free to download.
Download Weed Firm Replanted for free on the App Store and Google Play today. Get growing, Mr. Growing.
The political climate is at a fever pitch, and the fight for the social fabric of America is set for battle this November. Tuesday, November 8th, the cannabis liberation movement takes a huge step forward, and Cannabis Radio is here to chronicle this legendary moment. CannabisRadio.com and the Cannabis Radio News team will feature wall-to-wall live coverage of all the coast-to-coast voting of state amendments, ballots, propositions, and initiatives that will further progress the cannabis crusade. Join us November 8th for Vote 2016, The Path to Cannabis Freedom, only on CannabisRadio.com.
You're listening to the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com, where we don't change our mind on decriminalization during an election year.
The Russ Belville Show is proudly sponsored by the Marijuana Business Association. The MJBA, called by NBC News the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce, is the fastest growing business association in the fastest growing industry in America. I've been working with the MJBA for years, and I personally invite you to join the MJBA. MJBA also publishes the popular MJ Headline News on Facebook and the MJNewsNetwork.com and Marijuana Channel 1 on YouTube. Visit mjba.net for more details.
Warning, hits taken on this show are larger than they appear. Do not try this at home. These people are professionals. Or at least they pay me to say that. This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
Aha! Now I know what's going on here. I've had this website open for this story on the Philippine president, right? It's one of them stupid, it's International Business Times. You get these websites now where like the first thing in the website is a video window, and then as you scroll down, that video window kind of pops over into the corner and just still hangs out there and plays, right? Okay, so I got two of those open, and they're one of these auto-refresh pages as well. So that's why we've been having all that static. These damn things have been auto-refreshing and playing in the background. So Lesson learned. Anyway, the story I wanted to talk about was the president of the Philippines, Rodrigo Duterte. And if you haven't been following this story, oh my God. Okay, so this guy campaigns on a platform of being tough on crime. And I mean tough on crime. Specifically, he wants to kill drug traffickers or drug users. He just wants to kill druggies. I'm not being hyperbolic. This is seriously was saying we are going to kill the drug dealers. And it's happening. There's over 2,400 deaths now in the Philippines. And this is not just the cops. The cops are executing these people, right? And the vigilante gangs. They're just finding bodies in the streets with signs next to them, little cardboard written signs. You know, good riddance drug dealer, of course in Spanish, but good riddance drug dealer. And people aren't getting busted. This isn't being investigated. It's being allowed to continue. I mean, this guy promised to fill the Manila Bay with the bodies of so many criminals that the fish would grow fat. So this guy is something else, right? He's literally hardcore anti-drug guy. So this, of course, is starting to get a little more recognition internationally. And the Obama administration, of course, is not happy about the idea of these, Philippine drug war executions going on. Well, they were supposed to meet. They were supposed to have a meeting, and it got canceled because Duterte, the president, called Obama a son of a whore. And it was basically I don't remember the exact quote, of course, but it was to the effect of, the United States is not going to tell us what we can do in our drug war if we want to kill everybody that's a drug dealer or a drug user, so you stupid son of a whore. Basic gist, right? Obama reacted totally cool.
Well, he's a colorful fella. He's prone to saying colorful things.
Yeah, son of a whore. That's pretty colorful. Well, so Obama canceled the meeting. This meeting he was supposed to have with him. So what happened afterwards, though, is this: they finally brought it back around, and they did end up meeting. The New York Times was reporting that Obama and Duterte met today, just 2 days after he called him a son of a whore, and it was at the gathering of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. But it wasn't much of anything. It was just, hey, what's up? Right? There was no talk. They weren't sitting. They were sat far apart from each other. I mean, but yeah, they actually did see each other in person. Duterte now is saying he regrets his comments. Surprise. But he still is pushing back against the United States, interfering in what he thinks is, the right thing to do. People take drugs, just kill them. Over 2,400 deaths, I've read in some reports here. Now, the latest from Duterte is he's threatened to quit the UN because they got censured by the UN. The UN said, bad Philippines. Oh, you bad boys. Killing people. Whoa, that's bad country. So he threatened to quit the UN over that. Okay. And now his latest plan is to make drug testing a requirement for all incoming college students. Starting next year, students who test positive must go through rehabilitation before being admitted into a university. Drug testing for college. He's also, of course, drug testing for employment as well. He's all for that. His executive director of the Commission of Higher Education said this would help make campuses drug-free and hold students accountable for continuing their studies without using substances. So, Duterte told citizens Wednesday, if you have friends or family, tell them, don't get into drugs, you will be killed. End quote. If you have friends or family, tell them, don't get into drugs, you will be killed. It's just incredible. The Human Rights Watch has called on the U.S. and European Union to, quote, make it clear to Duterte that inciting such violence is unacceptable and will reap potentially severe diplomatic and economic costs. Otherwise, it's hard to envision when these killings will end. This is the the drug war nightmare taken to its extreme. And it's not, I mean, I've heard sentiments like that here in the United States from some sorts of people. We ought to just kill them. Kill all them drug users and damn druggies. Kill them. It's frightening. And more than one commentator has noted how Duterte is kind of the Philippine Trump. As far as he speaks off the cuff, he's offensive, not politically correct, etc. This is not to suggest that Donald Trump is calling for the killing of large number of people. Only Hillary Clinton with a Second Amendment, right? But it's scary because the similarities are that this Duterte guy came out of nowhere and was considered kind of a laughable candidate and ended up winning. Now they got a kind of a parliamentary system there, so you only had to get a plurality sort of vote, but he's the guy now. It's just terrible. I've been following this Philippine story, and we've got to put sanctions on the Philippines. We've just got to sanction them. We've got to I don't know what you do, but this can't be allowed to continue. This isn't a Singapore situation or a Saudi Arabia situation or something like that, where at least there's the appearance of some sort of judicial proceeding before we go and kill someone over drugs, right? I mean, we could be offended every day at, Malaysia or Singapore having the death penalty for drug traffickers. But at least internationally, under international law, there's, the acceptance that, hey, this is their country. This is their judicial procedure. We can't interfere in that. We're not talking about that in the Philippines. We are talking about the president telling people on television that if you go out and kill drug dealers, kill druggies, we're not going to prosecute you. This is the president saying that if there's world court or international tribunals on war crimes violations, that he will fight them. Then he will not have the police be taken off their jobs for the killings. I mean, this is just rampant. This is the purge, people. This is the purge is going on in the Philippines right now. Except it's every day for drug users. Over 60,000 people have turned themselves into authorities in the Philippines. Drug users, drug addicts, some drug traffickers, because they felt safer in the Philippine prison than out on the streets where there's vigilante gangs and cops that can just kill them with impunity. That's just unfathomable. It's just hard to wrap your mind around that. And I know I haven't been to the Philippines, but I know a lot of people who have, and they would be shocked at this. It's just it's a frightening international story, and we'll keep our eye on it for you. Let you know as we get more updates. I don't know how much political capital is going to be gathered internationally to try to do something about this situation. But I sure hope we do something soon. All right, stay tuned. We'll be back to wrap up the show right after this.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
We don't limit how much you smoke, and we don't limit where you listen. Cannabis Radio is now on iTunes, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio.
Tommy Chong is ready to cut through the smoke and change the tone of Tilk Radio.
You know, during Dance with the Stars, I started feeling discomfort. Yeah. And not only that, I was doing these old man smells. And it was kind of embarrassing because, you know, all the Dancing with the Stars crew, cast and crew, you know, they were all young kids. Yeah. You know, and then all of a sudden, this old guy would come along and do one of those silent farts, you know, that you don't know you're doing it. Yeah. And all of a sudden you smell, and everybody go, what the hell smells? And, you know it was me. And so I'd scurry off to the bathroom, you know. And that's when I knew that there was something wrong.
The Tommy Chong Podcast, only on CannabisRadio.com.
Welcome to my world.
Oh, let the marijuana llama tell you something now about a game for your phone gonna make you say, wow! The game's about the game of growing cannabis for cash. Grow the seed, sell the bud, put the savings in the stash. Little by little, your empire grows large. Put different celebrities inside your entourage. You can choose to play with Snoop or me or Cheech and Chong. Cypress Hill, Willie Nelson, Wiz Khalifa with a bong. The name of the game is Hemp Inc., that's the point. Download and play while you light yourself a joint. The business of cannabis should be no crime. Hemp Inc. is even hot-proofed by the man who run High Times. Oh yeah? Get it on Android and iOS today. Marijuana llama out. Got to tend to me own crops, you know. Money don't make itself. Hemp Inc.
This is Dan Michaels from DanMichaelsAudio.com, and you're listening to Radical Russ on CannabisRadio.com.
Coming soon to a city near you, Cannabis Finance Boot Camp. Get all your cannabis accounting, legal, and compliance questions answered by their knowledgeable panel of industry experts who want to help your cannabis business boom. Whether you're a grower, dispensary operator, or a newcomer to the field, your cannabis business needs Cannabis Finance Boot Camp. For information on upcoming events, visit CannabisFinanceBootCamp.com.
Yarr! Army pirates here! Har, 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 har. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation, only on CannabisRadio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. And as we wrap things up today, I was informed that Stoner Jesus is in the mornings now on all the weeks, all the days of the week, the Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So he won't be on after me anymore. So there's that. Also, Ohio's medical marijuana law goes into effect tomorrow. And scare quotes around the word medical marijuana because it's really one of those, I like to call them medical THC CBD states, medical cannabinoid states, right? Because you can only get the non-smokable, you know, the tincture, all that kind of stuff. The super restrictive Ohio medical marijuana law. So it goes into effect tomorrow. But there's not going to be any medicine for patients tomorrow. There's not going to be any medicine for patients this year or next year. They're talking about 2 years out. 2 years now before there'll be any access in Ohio. And it just bums me out to think that there was a chance last year And I know people hated that issue 3, and they hated the investor thing. I know they hated it. But there's going to be patients who will, that'll be 3 more years, 3 years total between when issue 3 could have passed before they're going to see anything. And they're not going to get anything close to what they would have got with issue 3, where they would have been able to grow their own cannabis plants and use whole plant cannabis and smoke it if they want to, and have over 1,000 places to shop for it. But at least Nick Lachey isn't getting rich, right? At least we didn't give a market capture to a group of landowners. Lord knows that there's nothing like that in American history, right? Just breaks my heart. And I know I'm in the minority in this, in the marijuana activism world. But that's because, to me, this was never about anybody getting rich. Right? It's never been my concern. My concern is people not going to jail, sick people being able to get some relief. That's always been my concern. And I think there's just too much of a, I don't know, so much of this marijuana, what is called the cannabis community, the marijuana movement, whatever you want to call it, I think it's disproportionately shaped by those who made the money off of it, by the dealers and the growers that created this outlaw community of ours that fueled it. Because so many of the consumers weren't actually a part of it. You know, some of us were the, wake and bake, dedicated pothead types. But a lot of us were just, the guy that works a regular job that gets an eighth or a quarter every month or so, just so he can relax on the weekend or go fishing or something. That guy's not in the cannabis community. That guy's not a stoner, right? And so I think we still have this disproportionate, that this feeling that somehow legalization was supposed to keep us as rich as we were by growing weed that you could sell for $300 an ounce. It's just now we're going to take all the risk out of it for everybody. So you get the risk inflated price and profit without the risk. Kind of sounds like Wall Street. Damn! I just had an epiphany. Folks, that's all the time we got for today. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow with more news and views you can use for the cannabis community, whatever the hell that is. For everyone here at CannabisRadio.com, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at RadicalRuss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant